Just got a nipple rash, and this nipple rash will not cure itself. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna give me some baking soda stat. Sometimes I have off days. Sometimes I just feel like, you know, tired and worn down, and today is not one of those days! Yes, it is. It really is. It absolutely is. It's really hard to, you know, constantly being so joyful and expressive and loud and screaming and yelling on camera and always having something to be excited about. It's tough. It's tough living this life. But not when you got your new Holley Terminator X super sick standalone kit for your 240 SX. Sick! Woo! So, as previously stated, we took the stock ECU off. We've got a Terminator Max kit from the dudes at Holley. Shout out Colin, you're the man. And Bill, looking at you, Bill, you cutie patootie. So, you know what? I don't even. Nip. So, Holley, clapped out his team Holley. Rye, Josh, and myself all run Holley products. Rye is also putting the Terminator Max kit on his SN95. He ran his SN95 on an MS3 box last year. He's going to the Terminator, which is sick, for this year. And he is going to be doing a featurette situation. He's gonna go over all the features of the new Terminator X and Max kits. The more hands-on guy, I'm gonna do an install video of us putting this on the 240SX. So this video is gonna be me, a very, very brief unboxing and installation. Rye is going to be doing the technical overview of these kits. The box it comes in, your part number, this is for a 24X reluctor, single pole cam sensor, and it also has trans control. I'm gonna dump the contents of this box out and then just show you really quickly what we got. So we got our main harness, we have our power harness, cool. Injector sub harness, I'll have to bastardize this with Bosch 210 injector clips, but whatever. You have your O2 sensor, cool. O2 sensor bung, cool. Your inputs and your outputs, dope. LCD screen, also the trans harness. And look at this. Look at this cutie patootie, dude. Oh, it's so light. That's not so light. This one's a little heavy, but this one, I could go for a frisbee with this thing. God, I hear the way I sound sometimes and I'm like, stop. Step one is finding where you want to put the ECU. That's step one, because you got to run all your wires to the ECU. So you got to make sure that it's accessible to run your power wire, to run your main harness, your inputs and your outputs. Find a good spot to mount your ECU. Went ahead and just mounted it in the glove box. It's not bolted in yet. Wallered out a hole there. I'll run all the harnesses through there, down and up through. There's a hole somewhere up there. There's a hole to the outside where I will run all the harnesses through. All right, I already hate the location of the ECU. After you mount the ECU, you're gonna wanna run the main engine harness, which you can see sticking up here, and then the power harness, which runs underneath there, all the way to the trunk. You wanna run this directly to battery. So don't run it to your starter, don't run it to a power post in your engine bay. Run it to the back, run it to your battery, directly to your battery. That's where it goes. This is, before, you know, Colin at Holley freaks out, I do have a rubber grommet that will be going around there. So don't yell at me. But your harness is labeled. You have your cam sensor, knock sensor. You have your ground. Throw that on the cylinder head, let it eat. Your wideband O2, so this will connect your wideband. Just your basics, your injector, so your injector sub harness will connect to that. Showed you guys earlier, injector sub harness. So get all this stuff run to the appropriate locations. If you have to move wires and oh God. Whoo! If you have to extend wires, make sure you use the proper wiring utensils to do so, because the harness comes tested and finished and ready. And you don't want to screw that up when you go to install different injector connectors or different map sensor connector or whatever. I hate that I cut all my hair off, and I'm sure that everyone else will too. It sucks. I feel so naked. Just awful. My face is cold. My head is cold. Just a stupid decision. So dumb. On the harness itself, it'll be labeled P1A and P1B. Those go to the J1A and J1B connectors, and your main power harness plugs into the main power receptacle on the ECU.
The next day.
I just stopped filming yesterday. This is the next day. Wasn't feeling good. I felt like poo. Still don't feel that good, but I got an engine management system to wire in, so I'm not gonna let anything keep me down. Because positivity overcomes everything, and adversity is simply a city that I've never, you guys, you know that. You know what I'm talking about. So let's recap. And honestly, I don't know where I left off on the clips yesterday. I'm just gonna put them all together and hopefully it makes sense. You run your main harness, you run your power harness, you get your ECU mounted, and then all you have left with this kit specifically is some unterminated wires right here. Man, dude, I look like I've been working out. Sick! So you just take your main unterminated wires over to the beach. And but in all seriousness, there's not a lot of unterminated wires. You have, let's see here, red with white, red, green, black, and blue with a white stripe. The White Stripes, they were a good band. I can tell that we are gonna be friends. It's a good song. I wonder if they wrote that about me, Ryan, and Josh.
I can tell that we are gonna be friends. I can tell that we are gonna be friends.
So on the harness, you see that picture. I don't want to dive into the dash, but that's these. Here we go. Hold on one second. So this is gonna be your J1 and your J2, and then if you follow that up yonder, you see those unterminated wires. Your red with white goes to your switch 12 volt. Red goes to 12 volt battery directly to the battery. Green, fuel pump. Let's talk about this real quick. If you have a fuel pump that requires over 15 amps, do not, I repeat, do not use that green wire to power that fuel pump. Okay? If you have a fuel pump that's under 15 amps, you go ahead and use it, no problem. So what do? I got 7,000 amps worth of fuel pump, Logan. I'm trying to go to the friggin' moon. Boo! Don't worry, I'll friggin' tell you. Well, I'll show you. Use your imagination. There's the green wire. You see it? Do you see it? Do you see the green wire? Pretend that it's run through the cabin. Running through the cabin with the green wire. What are we gonna do with the green wire? Don't worry, I'll show you. Sit tight. The green wire cannot be used to simply power the fuel pumps because the amperage will be too great for it to handle. So instead, you take this green wire and you use this green wire as a trigger wire for the relays, for the fuel pumps that you choose to use. It's very simple. Also, I have no idea when I decided to use that as my go-to accent, but I'm digging it and I'm gonna continue. So, deal with it. Ugh. So, in the booty end of the car, what is that? What's that orb on my screen? Do you see that, guys? Is that a ghost? Oh! All right, I'm gonna deal with a ghost on my screen, but you see this right here? See that little red wire peeking out? That's my current trigger wire. So that is my current trigger wire that triggers both of these relays. Both of these relays power my two fuel pumps that are underneath this mess of a fuel pump hanger. And they also have a fuse box linked in as well. And on top of the fuse box, we also have a main power shutoff. Boop, no fuel. Now we have fuel, no fuel. Now we have fuel. Now we got no fuel, but now we have fuel. Now we don't. Yes, we do. No, we don't. Yes, we do. No, we don't. Yes, we do. No, we don't. Now we don't. Yes, we do. Now we don't. Yes, we do. You get the point. My demeanor on camera yesterday was so docile and blah. I just got to go over the top today. And I'm also out of breath from singing. So that tells you where I'm at physically as a human. The other thing that is neato mosquito about these kits is they do come with 4 inputs and 4 outputs, and you get your input and output connector. So connector's got 8 wires coming out of it. If I can stare at the camera instead of the screen. So from Holley, your base calibration is already set up for 4 total inputs and outputs. There's 3 outputs it's already configured for and 1 input. The 3 outputs that is already configured for, meaning in the back end of the software, it's already set up, is your cooling fan triggers. You have 2 of them, 2 outputs. They trigger a negative or ground on a relay for your cooling fans. And then you also have AC shutdown under wide open throttle. And then you also have an input for idle air control kick up. When you come to a stop, it'll automatically try to kick the IAC motor up a little bit so you don't drop idle speed. But you're not locked or married to those, as far as I know. Should be able to go in the back end of the software, and if you want to change it to a positive switch or a, you want to assign a pressure transducer to those inputs, meaning if you want to run, it comes with fuel pressure and oil pressure, but if you want to run, I don't know, shock sensors, I guess people do that now, right? That's how people go fast. There you go. There's an input. You can get the data from that, and you can rock out with your Bible in your hand to not be a sinner. You know, the bottom line with this whole video I was doing was to illustrate honestly, how simple these kits are. And it's a blessing and a curse, the simplicity of them. You know, you got people that are spending thousands and thousands of dollars on crazy standalone systems that they're never going to fully utilize. And now this comes out and they could have just bought this for $1,000. Sorry, that's the curse part. I haven't worked with this system on the dyno. I've never seen one of these tuned. I'm extremely excited to get to Dynasty and let Hal start messing with it. And I have to give a hats off. It's my hat and it's off to Holley and to Colin and the whole Holley EFI team. I'm gonna pick my hat up because it is cold. Hats off to those guys, because this product is something that I think will, I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna use the word. It's gonna revolutionize some things in the industry. I really do think it will, because all of a sudden you have an affordable standalone system. The words affordable, and then over here, somewhere in Narnia, is the word standalone system. And they never go together, ever. This is just that, $999 for a cable throttle body, no trans control ECU and harness. That's like 99% of the swaps I see. The only downside is, picking the right time to purchase what you want. Like when you buy a stock ECU and a harness and a boost controller and all this stuff, and then you find out that Holley is releasing this $1,000 all-in-one package. It's cool. Anyway, that's my piece. If you guys are interested in a Terminator Max, Brian Tooley Racing, they have them on the shelf. I know because I'm the one that placed the order for them. We sold out in 12 minutes. I think we have 2 or 3 systems left on the shelf. But Brian Tooley Racing is a stocking vendor for those kits. We got a sales team that knows exactly what they're talking about when you go to place an order for one. I recommend that you give those guys a shout and you talk through your options and figure out what's best for your setup. Until next time, I just spit on myself. Until next time, this is Logan, and I'm sick.
Fall is here, hear the yell, back to school, ring the bell, brand new shoes, walking blues, climb the fence, books and pens, I can tell that we are gonna be friends.